guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jasmine. So today I've got another speed build for you, and this one is a lighthouse as well as a cafe and museum on its interior. So we've got a cafe on the bottom floor and a museum on the top floor, and they're both nautical themed, which kind of makes sense as it's a lighthouse. And I know we already have a lighthouse in Brindleton Bay, but you can't use it as a build or view the interior at all, and you can only travel to the top of the lighthouse to woohoo in the top of it, and there's a museum on the lot near the lighthouse. So that kind of inspired me to combine the two and create a build that you could actually enter and use, like I say, as a cafe or as a museum within the lighthouse itself. And you'll see that this is actually one of the island lots in Windenburg, so I decided not to put it anywhere near Brindleton Bay because it might look a bit weird having two lighthouses in the world, but I thought it might make sense to have a different lighthouse in a different world. And so I've put it in Windenburg, and hopefully it makes sense that it's on one of the island lots. And I think it's quite a good spot for it because this island is quite rocky as well, so it is quite convincing that this lot might need a lighthouse because there are loads of huge rocks. And I've also placed a load of debug rocks as well around the bottom of the lighthouse, which you'll see me do in a minute. What was really annoying about this build though is that we can only build in 4 levels in The Sims 4, and this was really annoying because I wanted to have at least 2 levels for the red building so that I could obviously have 1 floor for the cafe and 1 for the museum, but that made the tower look really short in comparison. And I also had to make the wall height slightly taller for the first 2 levels to make the tower look tall, so that made the red building look a little bit weird. It kind of made the proportions a little bit off, so the red building looked a little bit too tall next to the tower. I would have liked the tower to be a little bit taller. And I did think about trying to use all 4 levels to make the tower as high as it possibly could be, and then add fencing and roofing objects in order to create the top of the tower where the light would be. But that ended up not really working because there was nowhere for me to actually put the light or to make it convincing that there could be a light there. So I ended up just using 3 levels, and like I say, the tower isn't as tall as I would like it to be, but I think it looks okay. I hope that you guys like it. And you can see that I'm now adding the rocks that I mentioned, and these were really annoying because I couldn't place them underneath the build, which I really wanted to do in order to make it look realistic, because obviously it's supposed to be built on like a massive rocky area and that's why it's raised up. But we can't obviously place objects, any objects, underneath the foundation of a build. And at first I was going to use raised terrain and then place the rocks around the terrain, but that wasn't working because for some reason it kind of placed the rocks really weirdly, and it left this massive gap in between the rocks and the terrain in certain points, and so that just wasn't working at all. So I tried my best to hide the underneath of the building by just surrounding it by rocks, and hopefully it looks okay, but but I guess you can decide that and let me know in the comments down below. And then also all of the grass and landscaping objects are also debugged, so you will need to use the debug cheats in order to get those objects in your game if you want them. The other thing that was really annoying when building this lighthouse was the stairs were pretty tricky to work out because it's a really weird shape, that tower, and obviously we need stairs in order to get to the top of it. I could have used a ladder, and I know that would probably have been a lot of people's first thought, and I did think about it, but I was actually building this lighthouse on a specific build that I had seen in a film that I really liked the look of and was inspired by, and the interior of the lighthouse in that film had this beautiful exposed brick spiral staircase area basically, and I know we don't have spiral staircases in The Sims, but I really wanted to have a go at replicating it as best I could. So what I ended up doing was just sectioning off the diagonal areas, because ideally I would have just either liked a spiral staircase or diagonal stairs. That would have made it work a lot better for the shape of this tower, but yeah, that wasn't possible obviously because we don't have diagonal stairs in The Sims. So what I did was just, like I said, section off the diagonal areas or the diagonal walls in this tower, and then created a square staircase going all the way up. And I like the way it looks, and I like all the beams, and like I said, the exposed brick is really pretty, and I think I kind of achieved what I was going for, even if it wasn't a perfect replica of the film. So what we've got in this little tower section is a bathroom at the bottom, and then also a little storage area at the bottom of the stairs, and I thought that might be like a nice place for like all the fishing gear to be kept because there's not a building nearby, so it's quite likely that if there are any fishermen nearby that they would probably use this building as some sort of storage area, or at least sections of it, to, you know, store their fishing gear. So I've got loads of these buoys hanging and on the floor, and loads of storage boxes and lanterns and fishing nets and all of the fishing objects that I could find in Debug basically. So most of those objects are from Debug if you're interested. And then we've also got some more storage in the other hallway levels, under the stairs and also at the top, and then there's a ladder to where the light is. And I figured that it was important that you had access to the actual room itself that holds the light so that you could fix it if it needed repairing. But then there is a door to a balcony so that you can look out at the top of the lighthouse at the view, which is absolutely beautiful. So I really wanted your Sims to be able to actually go to the very top of the lighthouse and use it and enjoy it like that. So hopefully you like that. And like I mentioned, for the exterior I was actually inspired by a film, a lighthouse I saw it was in a Hallmark Channel film that I watched a while back actually, and I've mentioned the Hallmark Channel on my YouTube channel before, and I absolutely am obsessed. It's just full of cheesy, cozy programs and films, and I'm actually too embarrassed to say the name of the film that I based this from because it's just really cheesy basically. But I absolutely love cheesy romances, like rom-coms. I'm just a sucker for a good rom-com, or even not a good rom-com, I'll just watch them all. But this film was set in a harbour town in Canada, I think, because I think the Hallmark Channel might actually be in Canada, because like a load of their programs and films are actually set in Canada. And part of the film was largely around this nature reserve that was based on this tiny island near the town, and the island had a lighthouse, and the characters travelled and visited the lighthouse quite a lot, and it was so pretty. The exterior basically is a replica of that lighthouse with the painted white and red, and the shuttered windows as well. That was basically copied from the exterior. And in the film the lighthouse was also a museum as well, so that's why I wanted to have it as a museum. And it had a really pretty lookout balcony at the top of the museum, so that's something I really wanted to feature in my build, just an area for your Sims to go and take a look at the beautiful view. And then in terms of the interior of the build, the lighthouse that I copied it from actually had a very similar exposed brick look to the one that I used, and I mentioned it in terms of the stairs, but I wanted to feature it in a couple of the walls on the interior of the cafe and the museum as well, just because I thought it was really pretty with the combination of the exposed brick and the painted wooden like doors and furniture. There's quite a lot of painted furniture in this build, which I really like, in combination with the pretty wooden floors and the painted walls as well. And like I said, I tried to give the interior as many nautical references as possible, so I added quite a few boat objects and loads of those fishing net objects hanging on the wall as decoration, and life rings, and there's a funny little gnome object in his swimming costume and life rings, so he was really cute, I liked him. And then also quite a lot of those painting objects from cats and dogs. They've got some really nice swatches on them, and really nice landscapes, but also portraits as well, and I used them in the museum. I think I used quite a lot of cats and dogs objects overall in this build. It's basically mostly cats and dogs if you're interested in downloading it, and it will be on the gallery as well, so there's absolutely no CC if you're interested in downloading it, and I'll put my gallery ID in the description down below, so feel free to take a look at that if you're interested. In terms of functionality, I think I gave it the cafe lot type, because we do have the option to use museum lot types in The Sims 4, but I thought that if I made it a cafe, then you'd be able to use it as both. You'd be able to visit it as a cafe and for it to function properly, but also you'd be able to just go upstairs and visit the museum, so that would be the most helpful option in terms of gameplay. So I hope you like it. I don't think it's a build that I would often end up using in my gameplay. Let me know what you think and whether or not you really like it, but yeah, I think it's one that I wanted to do. Like I say, I was inspired by something I'd seen in real life and I just wanted to replicate it. But in terms of gameplay in The Sims itself, I don't know how often I would actually end up using this, but it's quite a nice one to have in your game just in case. And it's a really beautiful location as well. I absolutely love this lot, and I did a lot of waiting around and speeding through, waiting for the lighting to improve whilst I was taking screenshots and editing this video. And when the sun sets, it's so beautiful in this area, and I took a screenshot of the lighthouse with this beautiful sunset background, so you can see them at the screenshots at the end of the video, but it's just so pretty. So that's definitely a reason consistent enough for me to come back to this lot and actually try and use it in my gameplay somehow, although I have no idea how I ever would, but I kind of want to now. Before I go, the other thing that I wanted to mention to you guys and get your opinion on is, I don't know if many of you have heard of YouTube Shorts. They're basically YouTube's way of competing with TikTok, and they're encouraging creators to create short videos, so less than 1 minute long and in a vertical format. So obviously this video is now landscape, and most videos are, most long ones on YouTube, but vertical ones are kind of more appropriate for people to view on their phone, and I guess that's more like the content that TikTok features and promotes. And I was kind of planning on experimenting with a few short videos. I don't know what I'll do yet. I was kind of thinking maybe I might do some build tutorials or like trailers for my builds or something like that, or maybe the Gilmore Girls save file. It might be nice to just feature or create a tiny edit of what is going into the save file and the characters and builds and things like that. But the problem is that these short videos are a bit confusing when you post them, because you post them like any other video and they appear on your upload section next to all of your other videos, and yeah, I don't want them there basically. And also, if you guys sort of see them in your timeline, you might get a bit annoyed if you get suggested this vertical video that's only like 1 minute long and you might not be too interested in viewing it. So just let me know what your thoughts are of that down below, whether that would kind of interest you or put you off coming back to my channel. I would really appreciate your views down below. But back to the build before I go. You can see me now making the upstairs museum area in the build, and most of it's pretty self-explanatory. We've obviously got some nautical themed artifacts, some maps, some paintings of maybe some important captains and historical figures, also some objects that might have been part of boats like the wheels, and then other objects like the buoys and the fishing nets. And then there's that model island object that came with cats and dogs, which I really like. That's in the glass case. I think that's a really cute object to have in a museum, and that anchor sculpture as well. And then there are a couple of things that I did that were slightly less self-explanatory. So I added a little natural history section where I put some feathers on the wall, and you can collect feather objects from cats and dogs, and when you place them on the wall they create this cute little picture of the bird that they came from, and also the feather is enclosed as well. And I put that above a table with some shell vases, and I thought that would be like a nice area for things that you could find or see on the beach basically. And there are a couple of books dotted around, and that my idea behind that was they were sort of educational books that you could read about the things being displayed. But we're coming up to the end of the video now, so I really hope you liked the build, what I did with the interior and the idea behind it as well. If you liked the video, please like, comment and subscribe, and if you have any suggestions, like I say, about the YouTube short videos, then please let me know down in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts. As always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye guys!